Hello and welcome to the Pink in the City podcast. Pink in the City is a breast cancer charity. We are raising awareness and funds and providing information and inspiration. Please share this episode with the world and join us in our mission. And now, let's proceed to today's episode.
Hi, this is Pink in the City. I'm your host, Angie Tsakiris, and I'm a breast cancer survivor. I am a mom of two, and I'm ambassador with Pink in the City. And I'm again here with my great friend, Cristina Silva, health and wellness coach. She's joining us again to talk about the 4 pillars of good health. Hi, Cristina.
Hello, Angie. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So on our last segment, we were talking about the 4 pillars, and we talked about a little bit of all 4. But today we're going to talk about nutrition and how important it is for good health. Can you tell us the 4 that we just discussed, just the 4 pillars, and then we'll go on to nutrition later on?
No problem. So 4 pillars of good health, like I mentioned on our last meeting. For me, I've created this foundation, which, with every supported building or every supported community, there's always these pillars. So for me, for my health, my 4 pillars are nutrition, activity, relationships, and stress management. So like you said, we're going to be we're going to be kind of dissecting one at a time. And this week, our focus is on nutrition. And to kind of go back so people know who I am. So like Angie mentioned, I'm Cristina Silva. I'm a certified health and wellness coach. I am also a breast cancer survivor, so I'm very much aware of the efforts that it takes being a health coach, and also being a breast cancer survivor. The efforts that it takes to stay healthy, to avoid any reoccurrence or anything else deriving from our diagnosis. So nutrition is definitely one of the most important pillars, to my opinion. They all have have their place, but nutrition is definitely a big role.
Mm-hmm. So you're telling me that it's important. How important is it? How much value do we put in nutrition? How much do we balance our lives with nutrition and exercise? How much is important? What is important?
Okay. Well, good nutrition is a critical part of health and development. Better nutrition equals stronger immune system, healthy pregnancies and child development, lowering the risk of developing a chronic disease such as diabetes or cardiovascular disease, and of course, longevity, right? Mm-hmm. So good nutrition is a great prevention method against developing cancer as well. So it has a big place in staying healthy, most definitely.
And in your opinion, what changes are needed to be made to make a difference in one's life? What changes should they start? Somebody that wants to begin to change their nutrition, what's the first, the baby steps that they need to do?
Well, I mean, I can start by, speaking of, my changes and what I did.
Please do.
When I decided to, really take my health into my own hands and give it a focus. So, I mean, what I applied is the emphasis on eating fresh fruits and vegetables daily, whole grains, sprouted preferably, because they are easier to digest and offer a lot more nutrients than the fully grown versions. I eat wild caught fish. If I do eat animal protein, it is organic, and I highly recommend organic. Nuts and seeds. Obviously, no added sugars, sodium, saturated fats, and trans fats. I eat, focus on, plant foods. So, beans and lentils and of course, let's not forget our leafy greens, right? So this was my changes. This was where I took my focus, is basically in all that I've listed. So I definitely recommend that to someone that is also trying to create a healthy lifestyle.
For somebody that's breast cancer, any cancer survivor, and they're battling, or they're after their treatment, and they're overwhelmed, what do you think they should do? Where should they seek advice on nutrition, and should they just go to the supermarket and just start buying any vegetable, or should they? Where can they reach you?
Well, most definitely. I mean, this is what health coaching is all about: is to support, someone that is definitely wanting to apply healthy, changes to their life, and they just don't know where to begin. So, most definitely, seeking the help, of a health coach is a good option, because we all need to be supported, right? So we all know,
yes.
We all know that eating, fruits and vegetables and drinking our water and all that stuff, we all know we need to do that, but it's like, how to sustain it, how to keep it, going, and not just doing it for a little while and then going back to our ways, So a health coach is kind of someone that will guide you, support you, and be your cheerleader, so you can keep going and give you tools and tricks on how to sustain that healthy lifestyle. So it's definitely a great option to seek the help of a health coach, for sure.
And you have a Instagram account, don't you?
Yes, I do. Instagram account, and I also have a website. So Healthy Life in Harmony on Instagram, if you want to find me there. And I also have my website, healthylifeinharmony.com, which I'm also reachable through there as well. And on my Instagram, I do post a lot of things daily, a lot of encouragement, support. So just, by following me there, you get a lot of support, so definitely would be a good place to start.
In our diets, in your diet, in our diets, and everybody's diets, what do we need to add to our diets, and what do we need to eliminate?
Well, I much prefer adding than eliminating, right? Because I find that when you add all this healthiness into your diet, it automatically just crowds out all that is not supposed to be in your diet. So the focus is on adding and not so much on eliminating, because like I said, when you start adding all that healthy stuff, that bad stuff just no longer has room. So definitely, like I said, adding, being mindful of your intake of your fruits and vegetables and your whole grains, and drinking your water, and, having sustainable, animal protein in your diet, wild caught fish, nuts and seeds. And so, definitely avoiding sugar, any added sugars, things like muffins and cakes and cookies, and those sugary drinks and things like that.
Oh my God! I went to Walmart today, and I didn't buy it because my daughter had a friend over, and I said, "Oh, I'll buy them that junky little cupcakes." And once I looked at the ingredients and I saw it was like at least 20 or 25 ingredients in the packaging. I said, but
unbelievable.
No.
Yeah. All those chemicals, colorings, preservatives, all that stuff, it's basically, not having that processed food and eating from the land and not from boxes, right?
But that's it, right? I think we've become a society where we're not mindful when we eat because we're in a hurry. We don't have time, so we eat without even thinking that what are we really eating? So we buy packaged things that are pre-made because we don't have time to cook, and we're not eating right.
100%. And this is what I tell my clients a lot, before you eat something, just take a few seconds to reflect and say, is this like nourishing my body or is this feeding disease? And just taking that, that 3 seconds to reflect and ask yourself that question, chances are, whatever you're about to eat, if it's not so healthy, just asking yourself that question and having that moment of reflection, chances are you'll put it aside. So being mindful is super important.
Yeah. And for you, do you have any certain foods that you would recommend to others that are higher on the list to fighting cancers? Is there certain ones that stand out more than others?
Well, like I said, Ange, anything, fresh fruits, sprouted whole grains, vegetables, nuts,
and sprouted
seeds.
whole grains, are they easy to come by to find at the grocery store for some people, or do you have to go to specific stores?
No, not at all. They're basically everywhere now, which is lovely because, just going back 10 years, these things were almost, impossible to find unless you went to that little shop, far away where you'd be able to get your hands on that stuff. And now today, you've got these big supermarkets that actually have these, which makes me laugh, but they have these sections of natural food, so it's so funny to say that.
What is the rest of the food? If that's natural, what's...
Exactly. If that little section is natural foods, what's everything else in the store,
It's scary.
It really is. It makes me laugh when I see that, but no, most definitely. Just eating from, not from boxes and staying away from all those, chemicals and colorings and preservatives and, eating sustainable meats, animal proteins that are not raised with, hormones and antibiotics and, pesticides and, it's so important to be mindful of that.
Spending a bit more money because people say, oh, it costs a lot. But if you think about it, people are spending $7, $8, $9 on a coffee or a drink at Starbucks, but yet when it comes down to their food that they're providing for their family, it's too expensive. But wait, you just bought yourself an $8 or $9 coffee, and it's too expensive to buy yourself a good quality meat for your family or vegetable, whatever it is for your family. It doesn't make sense anymore. People have to put your priorities in check.
No, for sure, I totally agree. Because I always say to people, if you don't, invest into your health, or make time to create a healthy lifestyle for yourself, well, when you get stricken with a disease, that prevents you from working, that prevents you from, doing your living. So that becomes expensive, so might as well stay healthy, invest in your health and eating healthy foods. And this way you can continue having, your income and your job and, sustain your lifestyle, because once you get hit and stricken by a disease, everything stops, so it's best to just invest in the food and stay healthy than to deal with disease after, right? So,
well, of course, and that's unfortunately we learned the hard way.
mm-hmm.
But we're trying. You're trying, and everybody that's gotten this disease that doesn't want it and never wanted it, we're trying to teach others from our mistakes. Please learn. We don't want anybody to get sick from this anymore. So
exactly,
that's why we're doing this today, so we can teach others.
Prevention is your best protection, you know, and nutrition is a big part of preventing disease. So, you know, it's an overview in a lot of situations, but it should be the center of prevention. You know, nutrition is super important.
A trick that I don't know where I heard this, or I think I heard it on, I don't know where, on a podcast. They were saying that a trick in the supermarket, and it's very true. If you walk into a supermarket, they say always shop on the exterior, around the walls. Mm-hmm. Notice that all the fruits and vegetables and all the nutrition food is around, and in the middle is always all the manufactured food in boxes. So take a look when you go to your grocery store and look around. Basically, you should be shopping on the around, not in the middle.
Yeah. In the middle is those boxed foods. It's those aisles for sure, you know, because along the sides, you've got the fresh foods, you've got all the fridges and the freezers, you know, and then you've got all your, you know, your fruits and vegetables on the other side. And then
so
in
what's
the middle,
your
you've got all
five
those
vegetables?
aisles.
Tell me your 5 vegetables that you go to mostly.
Oh my goodness, there's so many. There are so many, but I definitely recommend, you know, your leafy greens, you know, your spinach, your kale, your Swiss chard, you know, so definitely those are really anything colorful, really, you know, I mean, you've got, you know, your beets and your carrots, you know, like anything that is colorful is what I say. That, you know, the more color, the more nutrients, you know, the more vitamins and minerals. And so I don't really have, you know, I'm always experimenting, you know, as long as I'm eating fresh fruits and vegetables, you know, you've got all you need in that. So there's not really any top 5.
And what's that myth?
It differs from everybody.
What's that myth that people are saying, oh, don't eat too much fruit? There's so much sugar, especially watermelon. Is that true, Cristina?
Well, listen, fruits do have sugar. Most definitely. We cannot deny that. But they're also very high in fiber. So it's a natural sugar. It's not an added sugar. That's the difference, you know? So people get those mixed up, you know, because fiber acts kind of like a sponge to sugar, you know? So you know, when you're looking at the fiber and the sugar in the fruits, I mean, it's really different than when you're looking at a boxed food, you know, where the food is being the sugar is being added to the food. It's not occurring naturally, you know? So I would not be afraid of fruits, you know, even if you're diabetic. You know, there's still a lot of fruits that, you know, are, you know, they're on the low glycemic index, which don't spike your insulin levels. So even being a diabetic, you shouldn't be afraid of fruits, you know? So I kind of debunk that, you know, I don't agree with that myth.
True. And I don't either. It's unfortunate that by listening to the social media and listening to the wrong people, we don't really know all the facts, and we just fall into the trap of, oh, it's bad for you. But look how important it is to eat your fruit.
Oh, most definitely, because it has so many benefits as well, you know, like all the vitamins and the minerals. And I mean, those boxed added sugars, you know, those foods, they don't have all that fruits have. So it's very, very different.
What foods would you say to avoid? It's a bad thing. Avoid. like not to eat at all? What foods would you say that I wouldn't put that in my house?
Well, definitely added sugars. Like I said, anything that has added sugars and sodium, greasy foods. I would also say dairy, because milk and other dairy products are the top source of saturated fat in our diet, which contribute to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and Alzheimer's. There's even studies that have linked dairy to an increased risk of breast, ovarian, and prostate cancer.
Wow.
So, yeah. So most definitely dairy would be something that I would avoid. And alcohol. I mean, alcohol is definitely on top of the list. It has, there's been experts. How would I say this? Experts have been like long divided over the benefits of alcohol, right? So I think my motto would be, if you're fighting disease, if you're fighting any type of disease, I would definitely avoid alcohol, completely. If
because of the sugar?
Well, I mean, not only the sugar, because obviously, alcohol does it does play with insulin levels and stuff like that. But I mean, alcohol has been linked to heart disease. It's been linked to inflammation in the body. It's, there's, as much as there's, some type of benefit to drinking alcohol, but everything in moderation when it comes to alcohol. So like I said, if you're actually in the midst of fighting a cancer, and you have active disease in your body, I do believe that you should be avoiding alcohol. But when it comes, like if you're in the prevention mode, everything in moderation, because like I said, there is, some experts that do talk about some health benefits, when it comes to heart health and stuff like that with alcohol consumption. So I would keep it to a limit,
And when you mean
definitely.
a limit, can some example, when I used to have wine before I got diagnosed, I always told you, oh my God, I love my wine, but I didn't have it de temps en temps. I didn't have it once a week or twice a week. I had it every night. And the doctor would tell you, oh, if you have one glass a day, it's okay. It's good for your health. I personally don't believe in that anymore. I personally believe that once in a while is okay, but not every day, because it becomes a habit.
100%. I totally agree with that approach as well, Angie. I mean, keeping it to a minimum, is definitely what I recommend. I wouldn't have alcohol on a daily, probably not even on a weekly for me anyhow. But, if I have it, at a special occasion and I'm going to have one cocktail or something in that aspect, but it's very, very, very limited. It's definitely something that I do highly recommend. And if you're fighting a disease, I would definitely avoid it completely.
And that's also, we can talk about, since we're talking about alcohol, tobacco, cigarettes, any drugs is the same thing.
Of course, that goes without saying, I mean, most definitely. I mean, smoking has been linked to so many different diseases. So that's definitely, there's no benefits there.
No, it's unfortunate that we still see people that haven't it hasn't clicked in their head yet. And I'm always wanting them to see the light and say, oh, please don't fall into the trap. And you're trying to save a soul every day. But I think just us talking about it, and maybe if you can change one person today, we did our job.
Well, you know what? I always say, take care of yourself, and automatically it has kind of like a ricochet effect,
Yeah.
People start looking at you and seeing how energetic you are, how good you look and how you feel. And So they start, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? What is your lifestyle? They start getting intrigued and they start. So I think the best thing is to take care of yourself, and then automatically that focus just comes, it's like a ricochet effect, like I said, the ripple effect. You start taking a view, and then everyone else starts getting, interested because of the fact that you look good, you feel good, and you just resonate health,
The story, remember I told you that woman that I saw one time at out shopping, and it was a mother at our school, because I'm a teacher, and I hadn't seen her in years. And when I bumped into her, she says to me, you were my role model back at the school. I said, why? Because remember when you were losing your weight? Well, I said to myself, if she can do it, then I can do it too. And I didn't know that she had lost weight. And when I saw her, she was half the person. And I said, oh my God, I said, I'm so happy for you. She was because of you, because you did it and you were a certain age. And I said, if she can do it, I can do it.
There you go.
I think anybody can, if you put your mind to it, I don't care how old you are, you can make the difference in your life.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. It's definitely that. It's the ripple effect. Yeah. So I believe on taking care of you, applying these 4 pillars in your life, and just feeling the benefits from them. And then automatically people are intrigued. And this is how, you start influencing people around you, So it starts with you, most definitely.
Okay. So now the one topic that people, one meal that's very important, I believe, in our lives that a lot of people are skipping, and it's unfortunate, is breakfast. I personally believe that it's important in my life. How important, Cristina, is it that when our breakfast, why do we need to have breakfast in the morning?
Well, breakfast kickstarts your metabolism, right? It's the beginning of your day. So it also gives you energy to get things done. It helps you focus at work and for kids at school. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I think a lot of it has to do with that. People don't know what to eat for breakfast, and they tend to turn to a lot of sugary things in the morning because it's just
the box
easy.
cereal.
Exactly. So it's just easy, and but there's just so many other things that are, easy to grab and easy to go for breakfast. You just need a little bit of, prep work. Like, for example, loaded oatmeal. You can have it hot or cold, those famous overnight oats that everyone's talking about. There's so many recipes online for an overnight oat, and especially in the summertime, those cold oats are so great. And you can put some fruits and nuts and seeds and all kinds of stuff. So that's a very good option. Smoothies is also a very good option for breakfast, and easy smoothie bowls as well. You can actually turn it into a whole meal. And then there's, fresh fruits, super important. Fresh fruits with, like, for example, a non-dairy yogurt, such as yogurt that is made from coconut milk. And you top it with granola, and fresh fruits. It's so great.
You have to also be very careful when you buy your oats and your organic. Everything has that. You have to look at the sugar.
Oh, well, most definitely. But here we're not talking about, packaged stuff. If you take oatmeal, and then you add your own stuff. They have those breakfast oatmeal packages already, all, magically set up for you. But those are definitely, high in sugar and,
I'm sure,
and things like that. So, but if you buy your plain yogurt and load it yourself, then you know exactly what's going in there. Loaded oatmeal. You put all kinds of stuff in your oatmeal. Same thing with your yogurt.
It's not hard.
Not at all. And same thing with the yogurt. You don't have to buy, those yogurts that contain the fruits and all kind. You can do that yourself. You just buy your plain, coconut milk yogurt, if, for the non-dairy option. And then you add whatever you want to it, and you can, if you want to sweeten it, you can sweeten it with a little bit of maple syrup, with honey. And there you go. You don't need to turn to those already prepared yogurts and cereals. It's very easy to do at home.
Yeah.
Very simple. But I definitely believe that breakfast is definitely important. So, yeah.
I think we all fall into the trap of a lot of people don't eat breakfast because either they wake up too late, they don't have time in the morning, and then they get super hungry after. And then what do they go to? Sugar or fatty food, fried food. And then in the evening, they'll eat a balanced meal. But if you don't eat your breakfast that can sustain you for the day, that's what happens. That's what
exactly.
happens.
Then you end up eating, later in the day. And those, late night snackings is where, it's where you have those extra calories and, you're winding down for the day, right? So you're less active, you tend to be resting on the couch, watching some TV. So at that point, you should be limiting your food intake because now your body's getting ready to sleep,
Right.
So you don't need, because food is energy, right? So you don't need to be fueling your body with energy.
I love that, what you said. Food is energy.
Most definitely. So, and it's medicine too. So, you don't need all that when you're going to bed. You need that in the morning when you're getting up, because you need your energy, you need your focus for your day. So most definitely, and it doesn't have to be a huge meal. It doesn't have to be, it can be very simple, like we just mentioned, but it's definitely important. And I agree with you on that.
All right. Another topic that a lot of people are talking about and always very controversial is, organic, you're buying organic. And how do you know if it's organic? And why is it so important that you buy certain things organic and certain things that it not that it doesn't matter, but it's not as important. What's your take on that?
Well, listen, I say buy organic whenever you can.
Yes.
And I love to support organic farmers, so most definitely buy organic. And what does organic mean? Well, organic, the farmers, they eliminate the use of conventional pesticides and fertilizers, which makes, our foods safer for consumption. So why not? And often enough, organic food is fresher because it doesn't contain preservatives that make it last longer, right? So the longer something's been sitting on the shelf, it's not as fresh as something that, doesn't have preservatives and is made on the spot or cultivated and on the spot and stuff like that. So most definitely, I would go for organic food just for, the fact that they don't have all those pesticides and fertilizers, and they're fresher. So why not? And there's actually, I'd like to mention, there's the EWG, which is Environmental Working Group. And they have created a great list through their research of foods who contain the highest levels of pesticides, fruits and vegetables, and those should be bought organic. So they call these lists the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15.
Yes.
So just to give you a little bit of a lowdown of what that is. So the Dirty Dozen, the number one on the Dirty Dozen is strawberries, so you've got, just to name a few, strawberries, spinach, kale, nectarines, apples, grapes, bell and hot peppers, cherries, peaches, celery, tomatoes. So these are, some of the fruits and vegetables on the Dirty Dozen. So those I would definitely, make an effort to buy organic. And then you've got the Clean 15, which is the ones that don't necessarily need to be organic, like for example, bananas, avocados, pineapple, asparagus, kiwi, cantaloupe, mangoes, watermelon, sweet potatoes.
Yes,
So
the
these
ones
are
with a
all
hard peel, with a thicker
exactly,
peel. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, so these are definitely some that don't necessarily need to be organic. But you know what? If for me, I'm always looking also for my own pocket, right? But I mean, if the organic bananas and and the non-organic conventional bananas are the same price, I most definitely will buy the organic ones. Just
Of
because for
course.
me,
Yeah.
I much rather support the organic farmers, So even though it doesn't necessarily need to be organic, I will definitely make that choice. So because I do appreciate their efforts.
Of course.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Our last note before I let you go, we have a few minutes. Do you believe that nutrition is a good preventative for a cancer diagnosis, or
Oh
what do
my
you think?
goodness.
We have 2 minutes.
Yes. Most definitely, Angie. I mean, healthy eating, it's as simple as this for me. Healthy eating equals a healthy body, equals a strong immune system to fight disease. So I think for me, healthy eating is definitely an important pillar to a healthy body and to preventing disease. So I would definitely say yes to your question that nutrition has a huge impact on fighting disease or on preventing disease, just because it reinforces your immunity, your immune system, and that in return, is your best protection.
It's never too late.
So.
I think whoever listens to this podcast today, if you're going through a treatment or you're just diagnosed, don't give up, because you can help yourself.
Oh my goodness. Most definitely don't give up. I mean, it's a new start.
Yeah.
Most definitely. It just brings focus, right? So put your focus on giving what your body needs to fight and to stay healthy. And I think that already in itself is huge.
Well, I thank you so much, my friend, for sharing this time with me today.
I love it.
Me too. I'm so excited to speak to you on our next segment. And which pillow will we be discussing next week?
Next pillar is going to be activity, which includes exercise, rest, and sleep.
So I bid you farewell. I thank you so much from Pink in the City. And I'll talk to you next week, Cristina. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, everyone, for being there and listening. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.